Hello and welcome to my Tireside chat. It's Friday, February 24th. Yes. I just did that thing where I was like, what day is it? Oh yeah, got it. Wait, what? We are in Pismo. I quit my job yesterday morning. Finally. I haven't made one of these YouTube videos in a while. It's been a couple of weeks. And I kept kind of hinting at it in my previous videos, or I wanted to talk about it, but I couldn't really. And because I was trying to keep it a secret, obviously, from other people at work, and who knows who watches that stuff. You can't be too careful. I don't want anybody watching my YouTube channel because they might find out information about me. Yeah, so I've been not, I wasn't so upset with my job that I was desperate to get out of there, where I was like really stressed out or anything like that. I was just really dissatisfied with it for the past, few months. I mean, I was only there 9 months, one day short of 9 months. Actually, if I had waited till yesterday, technically I did make it exactly 9 months. Huh. I always get off too early. I'm going to the Walmart real quick to get some supplies here. It's like the storm of the century down here right now in Pismo. Anyways, I'll stop hopping back and forth between subjects. I promise. Anyways, so my job, the guy that hired me originally, Ryan, during my interview last May, when was that? May. Making sure I'm getting off on the right exit. I think it's the next one. During my interview last May, he specifically asked me, it looks like you've been working and you've been working in an internal IT department for the past 5 years. Why the hell would you want to come work at an MSP IT consulting firm again? Most people don't ever want to do that. And I said, you're right, but it sounds like you guys have a unique situation here. This is a good company. They said they're not going to bring on any more clients until they got their policies and procedures in place, and they got, things cleaned up. And also, I wasn't going to be doing any help desk support, which sounded great to me. So I took the job. However, 5 months later or so, he got fired because him and the other guy, Michael, were butting heads because Ryan was trying to force these changes that were good changes to have, it seems like. Let's see, am I going the right way? I still don't know if I'm going the right way. Oh, okay, good. I think I am. Trying to force all these changes that Michael was resistant to, because he doesn't like things that are different, and wanted to keep. He kept doing things like, he was supposed to just be kind of like he was supposed to be focusing, I guess, on like sales and contracts and things like that. And he kept doing things because most of the clients were his old clients, or a lot of them were, and he kept doing things like contacting them directly, or having them contact him for support directly, and bypassing all of our policies and procedures. And I don't know exactly the details of what transpired, but in any case, Ryan was the one who was let go, and they gave the department to Michael essentially, and Michael had no management experience really, and I had a conversation with him the day that Ryan was let go about the fact that I was concerned that the vision that Ryan had was not going to be realized, but I said, as long as we're on the same mindset, we're in the same mindset, and we're still trying to attain the same things, then I think that's great. And he said, yes, we were, and that's what we were going to work towards in the meantime. And even then, it was kind of said that he was only supposed to be the interim manager. But long story short, I gave it a few more months and saw that things weren't really changing, and it was he had some lofty goals. I mean, some of the same goals, but none of that. Again, and this was kind of my concern and other people's concerns. I think from the get-go was that, and I keep using the same expression, but it's fitting. It was someone else in a different department who said this. Well, Michael's the kind of guy that runs 100 miles an hour, but just goes in circles. It seems like that's what he was doing. Like the guy was like working well more than 8 hours a day, and on the weekends. I don't know what he was doing. Wasn't watching him all the time or anything, but didn't seem like all that much was getting done. We were supposed to be revising customer contracts and negotiating things, and then also improving our internal processes. There was a little bit of that being done, but it was at such a slow pace, and we were still doing things like entering our time for our tickets and our hours in 3 different systems. So I'm spending 10 to 15% of my time just updating tickets, and then also every Monday morning, pretty much like I wound up between going back and forth and other things. It took me like all Monday morning before I finally had to get my hours in for last week for payroll, in which you should expect a little bit of that when you're an hourly employee at an MSP, of course, but it was still pretty excessive. And when we were told like in October that was going to be improved, and here we are in February, and he was saying, beginning of March, again, we should be implementing some of that. But that was just one example of a lot of different frustrations, and I didn't see things improving much. Yes, they were paying me pretty well, and the benefits were pretty good, and overall, there was, between that and what I told Shaylin, my junior admin, at one point, I said, here we have Michael, our manager, who's on one hand is highly motivated, but doesn't have the efficiency or focus to get anything done. And then we had Corfy, who's a great guy too. They're both like personally, like they're good guys, really. But then we have Corfy, who probably has the skill set to do a better job than Michael does, who's just like the project manager. But Corfy's the project manager. He probably has the skill set too, but he didn't seem motivated to. He's like, he would make a good government employee, I think. And he was okay with us just being mediocre. We actually did a customer install for like a whole new network, and the communication with the customer, between the customer and our other departments and the lead salesperson, was pretty bad. And then when we got on site and Porfy was there with me, and we wound up, explaining everything to the customer, like Porfy kind of tried to, but I could tell that he just wasn't as good at it as I am. And so I wound up kind of, the conversation would wound up being me explaining everything to the owner of this company and walking them through how everything works and stuff like that, which is fine with, but I just kind of realized, it's one of these things where I'm working in a place where it's like, I'm not like trying to brag, I'm just saying it's like, I could do all of these people's jobs and do it better than they can. And I miss working at a place where except for we have one sales lady, Carlene, who was great. But outside of that, I miss working at a place where it's like everybody that I work with is really good at what they do, and we're all really good at communicating. We're always on the same page. So anyways, I could go on and on about all the issues. Bottom line is, I worked late Wednesday night with Shaylin. I was trying to finish up the Cisco infrastructure project where we were migrating off of, in their main office, they have a Catalyst 4500 switch, an older one, that was acting as their core router between their various VLANs and networks and everything. We were trying to migrate off of that to a newer Catalyst 9500 stack of 2 switches and make that the router. They had a link to their Forest Hill office that it could not get to route properly for some reason, and I was gonna open a call with Cisco support. It was like when I could route between VLANs with other ones that I had tried out, and it worked fine. But anyways, long story short, we in the middle of that, we were like, well, maybe the firmware on the switches was really old, like 3 years old, and I was kind of like, maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe we need to update the firmware first. And tried updating the firmware. I was like, we were in the web GUI, and thought, we could just do it through here. You just upload it, as opposed to doing it through the command line, which I'd done before, and which is a good, reliable way to do it. But of course, it's a little more cumbersome. It can be quite a bit more cumbersome, actually, and so pulled the trigger on doing it through the web GUI, and what wound up happening was one of the switches got updated and the other one didn't in the stack. So then when it rebooted, when the switches came up, of course only one of the switches was functional. Whichever one booted first, if it was the one with the older firmware, it would say, oh, the other switch can't be added to the stack because it's running different firmware. It doesn't matter, actually didn't matter which one it was. So then we still, after figuring out that that's what was happening, then we had to go and manually upgrade the firmware on the older switch, or the switch with the older firmware anyways. Finally got that fixed. Anyways, we were there and then that wound up causing problems with the VMware infrastructure. We were there until like 8:30 after having started at 5 o'clock, and finally got things back up and running to where it was stable and everything was good, and we verified with the other departments it looked good, and finally went, and then after that we went back upstairs, and I just started packing up my desk and say goodbye, Shaylin, and I left my laptop and my phone and my key fob and everything on the desk. Oh, and I had my company polo shirts that I left in the chair. Got up the next morning and sent an email to the HR director and the VP of our department, who hadn't been involved in anything, and all these issues that I tried raising with him the past couple of months too, and he didn't want to deal with it. He was like, Michael, this is your department, you deal with it. So it, none of my concerns were really being addressed in a satisfactory manner. I know Michael was trying, but the problem is too, is he just had too much on his plate for him to be able to do. Even if he were a little more focused, it was too much for him to do at once. So yeah, I sent in the email that I was quitting effective immediately, and then Danielle and we had already planned to go to Disneyland this weekend. There's this crazy storm that was supposed to hit today. So we decided, well, let's just go to Pismo. We'll bypass the Grapevine, stay in Pismo on Thursday night, and then drive to Anaheim the next morning. So that's what we're doing this morning. I got up, it's almost 8 o'clock. I'm at the Walmart to buy ourselves some ponchos and a couple of other things, and then we're gonna get the hell out of here. It's actually stopped raining for the moment, so that's great. Anyways, that's my update for now. Ta-ta.